So, I'm gonna go over my trades today. I took two trades, two losses. I think it was like something like 250 something pips in total. Yeah, I think it's one of those. I'm weirdly not like mad about it or like upset about it or anything. I upped my position sizes today, as I mentioned I would be doing in yesterday's video, and there's a good few learning points here. So it's quite interesting how similar what happened today also happened yesterday, being that I went long then short, and then price eventually moved in the way of my original idea. So I'm just going to go through what I was looking at. The main things to learn from today is, like I've got here, just hold off on placing the second trade if I take another trade, see if price is just manipulating before going back the original way I thought it was going to go. As you can see here, drop down into 3 minute. Yeah, to be honest, that when you look at that in hindsight, that's not a great entry, is it? Yeah, I was aiming for these. Right, okay, let's go. Let's just dive out a bit, zoom out a bit. So, I was trading on Nasdaq today. It looked a little bit cleaner in terms of the actual price action around the time, and then S&P has finally come back into that hourly order block that I've been mentioning. You can see it touches the halfway point here. Yeah, so I had two ideas going into today. We had some sell side liquidity here, and on the Nasdaq, we had 2 points here and here. Below that was an order block, and then this hourly fair value gap. And I was anticipating that price would come down into this fair value gap and then push up. However, we just took these 2 points of sell side, and then I think on the half an hour chart you can tell, or the 30-minute chart, you can see that well, you can even see here there's no gap between these two wicks. This price doesn't need to come down any lower, which yeah, I just didn't really take into consideration at the time. I was still expecting that we get a nice push down here, so that was my short idea. The first one was long. I think on the let's go through the S&P. So drop into the 5 minute. So when we look at this, price is coming down. You can see it's like very, very choppy today. It wasn't really the best day to trade, to be honest. Like, learned a lesson here. Don't trade the last day of the month, and don't trade the first day of the month, just because it's more likely to be a bit more choppy. If you can think of like the monthly candle, it's likely just to be no fully formed direction yet. So as you can see, we've sort of gone back and forth and then got this move up into this order block. Now, the long, I was anticipating that we just came up and would take, this liquidity here. Was it on Nasdaq? Yeah, so pretty much what happened was I just got in too early. I was a bit later with it, like around 9:40 something, 9:50, rather than going straight in. So I felt a bit more comfortable going long at this point, just because of the fact that, we traded down, took this sell side here, traded up, and then my entry just wasn't great, to be honest. Yeah, it just wasn't a great entry, but Yeah, like you look at where the stop is, like TP is pretty valid, like this imbalance up here. So yeah, I was thinking first target, second target, third target, and then this high up here would have been nice. But price had other ideas and wanted to trade down a little bit, take this further point of sell side. So once I got stopped out, I was looking on the 3-minute chart here, and you can see we come down, tap this sell side, and I'm thinking, right, we're going to retrace up into this 3-minute fair value gap. We've also got an inverse fair value gap here, and then push down from here to then target this order block and then that fair value gap, the hourly. So yeah, I got in here. Both my position sizes were 2% risk today. So it was a bit of a bigger loss. I think it was like £263 loss today. But that's fine. You can make that and more back in one trade. So it's just adjusting to larger position sizes now. My stop was above this wick, and yeah, I got in around on this candle. I was thinking, we'd wicked up. I think we had initially wicked up into that 3-minute fair value gap. Yeah, you can see on this candle here. And then, yeah, I went short. We displaced this, and price wicked down. It came up a tiny bit, and I was thinking, all right, fine. It wicked down a bit. So my initial stop was above this wick here, and then I trimmed it after we pushed down, so it was off this swing high. We got a few minutes in the green, and then we just sort of came back the other way basically. And one of the reasons why I went short here as well was because we had news at 10, and from yesterday we saw the move form from 10 all the way up to 11 to hit TP. So if we look at this again, yeah, so it happened a bit earlier today. TP would have been hit a bit earlier today. So yeah, it's just one of those, like on the lower time frame, it was a bit not easy to read. Like it wasn't the best price action, but there was still opportunities. My mistake being really that we'd already taken 2 points of sell side, and I was just thinking we'd retrace and continue down. But turns out my initial idea bullish was correct. Obviously we're in a higher time frame bullish model. Do you know what I mean? So we're more likely to go up, and it's as simple as that. That's why I'm not so mad about it. It was interesting to see how it felt being in a trade with more at stake. I think if we look at this here, I just set a limit order on it. It's just for context. So I was going to move my stop to break even once we pass these lows here, but we didn't quite reach that point. And yeah, so units 2, 3, 2.45, is that right? Yeah, something like that. So obviously if you think my stop was a little bit higher at one point. So we're now looking at £100, £120 per trade rather than £50 a trade, like stop wise. So if this trade played out, it would have covered this loss, and I would have been done for the day, and that's fine. But it didn't. Yeah, just like I say, learning points to take away from it. I think I'm quite pleased, to be honest. Weirdly enough, it's like a step in the next direction. So yeah, the fact that the way I felt actually in the trade was more important to me than actually losing the trade, because it I showed to myself that I was, capable of just remaining calm and focused on what I was doing. And unfortunately, I just got it wrong today. So it is what it is. I know that I can do it correctly. But yeah, if we look at when the move actually played out, bullish, to take that initial target, where would you enter? That's the question, right? So, once we get this, really, you should wait a little bit. But, I just went from yesterday, going from 10 o'clock, I was thinking, right, something's going to happen here. It's looking like the opposite to yesterday's move. So, whereby, I was thinking this was sort of a breaker structure here. Well, not a breaker structure, because we're already in a downtrend. And I was just thinking this is a retracement to go lower. Whereas what actually happened was we got a breaker structure here on this candle, and then pulled back down into it just a tiny bit on the 2 candles later. So the entry long in the 5 minute, you can see it. Yeah, so really on these time frames there isn't much of an entry point to get in. If you look at the 3 minute, would you use that as an entry? Don't know. I wouldn't have personally, but yeah, interesting looking at this. Very interesting looking at this, because this trades all the way up, past these highs, and there was something else that I was looking at. It was the fact so you got what? Asian lows get swept, London highs get swept, come down, take this. So yeah, I suppose you've got all this liquidity up here in the hourly that should get taken. If we zoom out a little bit more, and in that sense, we look at this liquidity point. So this got taken before my entry, this daily target. We look out just a little further back, we've got a big imbalance here and another imbalance here. So right away, you can see that we've wicked up into that imbalance on the left to the top of that order block that's highlighted in yellow. So yeah, it's just one of those. I think it's just something to learn from. I'm not pressed about it at all. Like it's it's just a learning point today. S&P. Let's have a look. Right, so yeah, again, then we had this hourly imbalance here that I was targeting. So the fact that I had that on both charts is kind of contributing to my trade idea. And yeah, it just didn't play out today. So now that we've tapped this halfway point, the next target is this high. Above that, we've got equal highs if you look across here, and if there is an imbalance of any kind above that, let's just get involved. Oh, it's loading up all my previous drawings. Just leave that like that. Oh my goodness, it's going slowly. Just want to see if this wick traded up into this. I think it did. It didn't. So this imbalance up here is a target above this high. Okay, cool. So yeah, it's one of those. Take your losses today. We'll come back next week. It's fine. first day of the month. Learning points, just wait. You don't have to go, if my initial bias is one way and price manipulates down or manipulates the other way, just give it a minute. Don't go straight in if I've already taken one trade. Just wait a little bit just to see if it comes back and then plays out, and then look for an entry in line with my initial analysis. That just patience, isn't it? Not getting too carried away. The second being, don't trade the last and the first days of the month. Fine, can do that. And yeah, just consider what points of liquidity have been taken. Today's a bit choppier, obviously being the first day of the month. So yeah, it's just one of those. What model are we in on the higher time frame? Like on the weekly time frame, massively bullish right now, to be honest, if you look at this. So yeah, we're just going to gradually keep pushing up, I think. Gonna leave it there. And I'm not going to trade tomorrow. Got stuff going on, so I'll come back fresh next week and see what we can do.